This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 577 with guest Erin Lawrence, recorded on July 13th, 2023. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy and or gal. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Summer is definitely here. It's definitely hot. It's definitely raining. We definitely have thunderstorms, but that's what makes the Midwest great. And of course, we posted the show with world-class show notes. Now, tonight, we're going to have a bunch of show notes. You want to head out to the AverageGuy.tv/HGG577. All the show notes, all the links Erin talks about will be there, and you can grab them from there if you're interested. Big thanks to Gavin Campbell, who joined us last week, and Gavin always gets me moving on Unraid. Yes, I set up an Unraid server. Yes, we'll talk about it some more as we move forward, but Gavin will come back and we'll spend some time doing it. So big thanks to Gavin Campbell for coming on. And then, of course, big thanks to our Patreon subscribers who make those pledges every single month, and many of you do it faithfully. I don't know why you do it, but thank you. Thanks for doing it. If you want to join that team, head out to the AverageGuy.tv/Patreon. Erin Lawrence from Tech Gadgets Canada. Make sure you get the S in there. TechGadgetsCanada.com is with us. Erin, always great to see you. Welcome back.
Jim, thanks for having me back. So good to see you as well. And what happens? Where does it take you if you forget the S? I've actually never done it.
Like a site that tries to sell you something, it's like a domain, one of those domain holders. So it's not,
at least it's not dirty.
As I was tweeting out the show, I always check the links, and I had left the S out, and I'm like,
could be a different kind of gadget.
It's not good to do it. Yeah, that's a little uncomfortable. Well, we're glad that you glad you're here with us, Erin. Let's just check in really quick. No. For those who are, I don't edit anything. For those who know you're up in Canada, and Gavin is up in Canada as well, and we know the fires have been affecting you guys. Are you affected at all by them? Everything okay for you up there?
Everything good. Alberta's dampened up a little bit with a whole bunch of rain in the last week, so we don't have many fires burning, but we're getting the smoke from the province next door, British Columbia. So it's been a smoky day here in Calgary where I am today, but, all things considered, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, well, we're thinking about you guys. I use My Radar as my weather device, myradar.com. It's an app for a really good weather app for Windows. And as you kind of pull back on the United States and you get into Canada, you can enable fire indicators. And I did this a couple years ago when the west coast of the United States was burning down. And I was like, okay, it just kind of helps me keep track of where things were going on. We were really dry here in the Midwest this early spring, and we had some wildfire. It's unusual to think about, but we here on the plains, if it gets dry enough, the plains will burn down. So we had some fire problems out here as well. But as I'm looking at the map right now, all of Canada is just one, just fire indicators.
Yeah.
Fire
burning.
Indicators.
Yeah.
So
there are an unusual amount of fires this year.
Yeah. Well, hopefully people will stay safe. I know property damage is involved in those kinds of things, and we're wishing the best for all of you living in that part of the world. And hopefully you'll have a wetter than normal summer, or maybe winter will come early, something like that, right?
In Calgary, it always does. So
yeah.
No worries there.
No, cold weather is on its way. we know that for sure. Well, you've been spending some time, as I've noticed over there at Tech Gadgets Canada, you've been spending some time. You're kind of our vacuum cleaner expert, and you've been doing some vacuum cleaner reviews. But before we won't dive in individually. You do a great job of making sure there's a YouTube video and that you cover the pros and cons. Check it out if you're interested. TechGadgetsCanada.com if you want to check that out. All your reviews there. But I want to ask you, we've been spending some time talking about robot vacuum cleaners. Does that, if you've got a robot vacuum cleaner, does that change the way you look at the upright or whatever you have before? Did for you, as you've done both, does it change what you think about for a regular vacuum cleaner? Because you have to have both, right? Robot can't do the whole thing. There's times you need a regular vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah, and that's how I have come to look at them. Is it's kind of a team sport, if you will. The robot vacuum can tackle a lot of that daily accumulation, and for those of us who have pets and cats or dogs in the house and shedders, the robot can kind of keep up on the pet hair in the house, which is really helpful. But there is no substitute for having a really good upright vacuum, whether that's a corded one or a cordless one, a lot of them are. And I mean, yeah, you still need something that's going to get into the corners, that's going to be able to tackle your upholstery, and that can do the stairs, because robot vacuums, as good as they are, they can now manage multiple levels of your home through mapping. So they recognize where they are and they'll clean, but you got to carry them up and down the stairs. Though I did see this week or last, there is some kind of robot that's been announced that can climb up the stairs. It's got some kind of, it almost looks like a little bit of a tank mechanism. So it lifts itself up each stair, and then it'll clean the stairs, and then it'll lift itself up to the next one. So I'm interested to see how well that works and how creepy that might be in your house.
We just put new carpet in, both upstairs and downstairs, and then recarpeted the stairs, and it's thick. I mean, it's not plush, but it's pretty thick carpet. And I would think the amount of energy it would take that robot to get up each one of those stairs. But I mean, I'm winded by the time I get to the top of the stairs. That thing might be starting back down to get in. Do you have two chargers? Does it know where both are? Can it just go to the closest one? I mean, those are, I don't know if you know the answers to those questions, but those would be, thinking about, because it's going to take a while to climb the stairs. And then it's got to get.
Yeah, that's something I didn't think of. You're right.
Yeah.
And energy, right?
Yeah, it just seems like it would take an enormous amount of energy for those little tiny batteries that are in there to get, to get to the top. So KDGA says he doesn't have any carpet in his house, so he's good. He's good to go. But so if I've got a robot vacuum cleaner, and you recently, you mentioned this here in a second. Let me bring this up on screen. You got the opportunity to look at this the Dyson Gen5, the stick vacuum. If I'm going to get a robot for downstairs and I'm going to carry it upstairs or whatever, and I'm thinking about that second vacuum, can a stick do the job? And is it adequate enough? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. So we've got all carpet downstairs in our house and all hard floors upstairs, hard floors and rugs. And we have a big old corded Dyson vacuum that we bought, 20 years ago. Still works great, but it's big, it's heavy, and it's got a cord on it. So I've been trying out a whole bunch of these stick vacuums, quite a few from Dyson, several from Tineco or Tinyco. My husband likes to call it Tinyco, but I think it's Tineco. And they do a really great job. So, I mean, they're, how to put this? Like, you can do smaller areas. Like if you have a 4,000 square foot house, a stick vacuum might not cut it. But these days, that Dyson you were just showing has, I think, a 70-minute runtime on the battery. And it's got really powerful suction. So it actually can clean my whole house in one go and not need to be recharged. So I think you got to be careful if you do have a real large space and you're vacuuming a lot. You just want to choose the right stick vacuum. But I think a lot of these stick vacuums are more than good enough to replace any older corded upright vacuums that you've got in your house. And frankly, they're a heck of a lot easier to store and a lot easier to carry up and downstairs.
Yeah, light. I mean, they're meant to kind of be charged on a regular basis, right? Have you found the mess with vacuums? We have an old Oric that's, I don't know, probably 20 years old now. It's a great vacuum cleaner. I mean, it's so simple.
Yeah.
I have fixed that thing like 1,000 times. I even ordered, we cracked the back of the housing and I got a new housing on eBay and fixed it.
Brilliant.
It's been a great vacuum, but I know eventually it's going to go. And it's also a bag vacuum, right? And so we got to find bags for it. And it's always a little messy. It's not bad. It's not terrible. The companies like Dyson make it sound like, a bag explodes every time you take it out of the vacuum, right? And of course, Dyson, I think, kind of pioneered this idea of a canister with the wind tunnel, right? Is that where are we at with Dysons these days? And I'm maybe in a 2,000 square foot. We don't have a giant house. It's not very big at all. Would this work if I was going to make the change?
This one absolutely would. Yeah, the Gen5Detect is the newest one that we're talking about. I just finished reviewing it. It's the canister that you're talking about has sort of a lever on it. So you just hold the canister over the garbage, push the lever down, and it dumps everything in. So you don't have to worry about vacuum bags. The other thing that a lot of the Dysons in particular have, but some others do as well, is they've got a washable filter. So you can actually wash all the parts. You can, wipe out the inside and you can clean the filter yourself and not have to worry about replacements, which is huge. The other thing that vacuum cleaners are doing, which I was really not sure about in the beginning, is lasers. Lasers shoot out of the front of the vacuum and shine across your floor.
Yeah.
And illuminate the dirt on your floor.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Wow.
And I thought, come on, like Star Warsification of vacuums. We don't need to go here. But I was skeptical. I tried it. And Jim, I can't tell you how much easier it makes it to see the junk that's on your floors.
Yeah.
That you thought you could see, but you had no idea was actually there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good, right? I mean, it does. I'm showing the picture of it here. And if you're watching, if you're doing audio only, come out to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jim Collison, and you can watch it out there. But you get I also put the link to this review in the chat. If you guys want to head over there and take a look at it, it'll be in the show notes as well. But in the picture I'm seeing, yeah, it is kind of nice to have that illumination. It's my job to vacuum here. So this is why I'm so into vacuum cleaners, right? Because it's my job. And it is nice. The Oryx got a bright light on the front, and sometimes I don't even turn the lights on in the room. I just go into it as I'm vacuuming. I know where everything's at, right? But it gives me this green glow, though must give some additional illumination to be like, oh, I missed the dirt in that corner. As you've been vacuuming, you see those and you're like, oh, I better go over that a little bit more.
You really do. And the way that the lasers, I guess, shine out of the bottom of this one particular vacuum head that they're designed to work on, which is one for hard surfaces, is it's shining out kind of a very narrow beam, but at an oblique angle, I guess it would be. So it's literally bouncing that light off of the particles and it almost makes them glow. You can kind of see in the picture that you've shown folks that little things just kind of light up on the floor.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can see some things already and you can see them a bit better with the laser, but what it does a really good job at is lighting up really fine particles. So I thought, my floors are pretty clean and I'll just vacuum up these few particles that I can see, until you turn the laser on and you realize that your floor is actually far dirtier than you thought. So that was the big thing for me that I was quite impressed by. And I had to kind of eat my words after the first time I reviewed a laser enabled Dyson vacuum, because I was like, it works. I can't argue it. So
yeah. Okay. So I didn't think vacuum cleaners would generate so many comments in the chat, but for whatever reason, like I talk about tech stuff all the time. Nobody does it. All of a sudden everybody's talking. So Tony says, his stick vac is a Ryobi and shares the same battery as the tools, which is kind of nice, right? Little utilitarian there. Uncle Marv says the Dyson V8 Animal for the win. That's what he must have.
That's a classic.
Yeah. Brian says so helpful when the batteries are interchangeable with other items. On this Dyson, is the battery kind of locked in on it? You're not swapping batteries in and out on this thing, are you?
You can swap them.
Okay.
You can swap them. You can actually purchase for this particular model. You can buy an extra battery if you want to have more than the 70 minutes of runtime at your disposal. But I think it's the outsize version, or it might be the V12. There is another similar Dyson version that actually comes with 2 batteries, so you can always keep one charging and one on the vacuum.
Okay, but are they Dyson specific? Do they interchange with other Dysons? If I have, because that's really common in power tools. Do the batteries interchange on Dyson?
They do interchange on some of the Dysons that I've reviewed, and I'm not 100% sure if that newest one, the Gen5Detect battery, is exactly the same as like the V12 that would be. But they sure look similar. I know there's a different charging cord on the new Gen5Detect than there was on the previous 3 or 4 Dysons that I've reviewed, so they might be upgrading a little bit.
Probably worth looking into. Bob says, I've never seen so much chat. Bob says bagless vacuums still need cleaning. The Dyson canisters can get dirt stuck inside them. That's hard to get out. And then he gives a +1 for the washable HEPA filters that are in there. And he also says freaking lasers. Wow, that's pretty cool. And then he says lights. Bob says lights are incredibly important when you're trying to seek out pieces of broken glass or tiny little Legos.
Yes.
Those are another right? Sometimes those Legos, you ever step on those? Well, you have any Legos around the house?
I've stepped on Lego in my time.
Yeah.
It's excruciating.
And getting that glass out is super important too, especially the we get some of the bulbs, like for the Christmas lights. Those bulbs can be really thin, right? And they're really hard to see. So that might help as well. Jay thinks that's pretty cool. Uncle Mar says Dyson batteries, not universal across models. So you just be cautious of that if you're going out.
Selective.
Jay says we have a Dyson. The only problem is that it fills up fast. Do you have that same experience when you're testing these? Do they fill it pretty fast? That means they're getting a lot of stuff.
It does. It depends on the model because all the canister sizes are different. The outsize vacuums are sort of the bigger vacuums that Dyson makes, and then they usually call their smallest models slim, so like a V12 slim or a V15 slim, I think. So it does depend, but I was testing out this Gen5Detect that I just finished reviewing and took it downstairs. My husband wanted to vacuum his office and give it a try because he too really likes vacuuming. He enjoys it. So he said, bring it down. My office needs vacuuming. And he must have only had it on for a minute and it was full. The tank was like bursting. But that's not about the tank. That's about how often husband Roger vacuums his office. Yes.
Roger, vacuum that office a little. Vacuum that office a little more. I would down here. I probably too, because I go out and work in the yard, and then I come in, and this is where I take my shoes off, and so I sit here a lot. It collects a lot of that stuff. So get off our back, Erin. Get off our back about it. Jeez.
You're usually too busy working in the office to worry about vacuuming the office.
That's right. Bob says Lego finders are also known as feet, especially in the dark, and that is true as well. You have, Erin, not to leave them out, but you've also been reviewing. I'll throw the link for this in the chat. They'll be in the show notes as well. You've also been reviewing some robot vacuum cleaners. I'm not a big fan. If I bought one, I'd only vacuum. I'm not a big fan of these. As I've been watching this, of the dual purpose vacuum and mop. Should I change my mind? Are they good enough now? What do you think?
I think they are. I've reviewed, probably like between 10 and 15 of the hybrid models. And I'll say some of the earlier ones that I tried were, they were okay. It's like wiping a damp rag across your floors. But a lot of companies now are moving to mops that can do more scrubbing. So one of the more recent ones that I reviewed from EcoVacs is the Roborock T20 Omni. And this one has 2 mopping pads that clip into the bottom and they spin. So they're these like really plush kind of microfiber pads. And if I'm remembering this one correctly, they also have sort of pressure adjustment. So it'll know what surface it's on, so it can apply more or less pressure. And then the pads spin, and it, uses the water that is in there. And it actually does a pretty good job at scrubbing off the floors. The tests that I like to put these mopping dual vacuum mop devices through is I'll pour things like coffee or wine on the floor. Some of it I'll let dry, some of it I'll mop it up right away, and just see what happens. And a lot of these newer ones with that scrubbing action will actually get off, I would say, 95% of dried wet spills. The other type of technology that you're seeing a lot in these hybrid floor cleaners is an ultrasonic scrubbing pad. So they won't have the dual plush mopping pads, but they will have a flat mopping pad that sort of vibrates over your floor. So it gives it kind of that scrubbing action in just a different way.
Still not a fan. You haven't convinced me. I kind of... I kind of, I don't know. I just don't, we've been talking about this for a long time, and every time I keep thinking, do I want to go dual purpose? I'm like, no, I really just want my vacuum cleaner to vacuum. And if I guess maybe I get one. Our kitchen, the only spot we really, the hallway and the kitchen, or everything else is carpeted. So that's a pretty easy Swiffer mop kind of deal. We don't have I think for some folks that have, this one we're showing, this EcoVacs D-Bot. First of all, you can't name a vacuum cleaner with a T. Can't be T20. That's Terminator. That's saved for the Terminator, right? You can't name it T20. Come on, D-Bot.
They're getting smart.
They are getting smart. And maybe that's that we all think they're going to come, they're going to come in through robots that kill us. It's really going to come through vacuum cleaners that will debilitate us as we sleep. That's the whole. They'll do something, goal, right? Yeah. I think it's, and I keep because we've been talking about this. I keep every time we do the show, we talk about this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get one, and then I'm like, well, no, I got to carry it up and downstairs. I'll just vacuum. That's just. It kind of comes down to, at the end of the day, I'll just vacuum. So, yeah, it hasn't really. Go ahead.
I was going to say they are best if you've got more hard surface floors. If you kind of only have one area and then the rest is carpet, it's probably not worth it. Like you say, it's just as easy to give those smaller spaces, a quick wipe than send the robot out. But I will say we have all hard floors, both tile and hardwood on our main floor. So it's about 1,000 square feet. And it does make a real difference, especially if we've been cooking in the kitchen. You don't want to get out the mop and the bucket after every cooking session. Send the robot out in the morning or just before bed. And it actually does a really good job at, vacuuming up all the crumbs and mopping up all the spills. And you kind of go to bed with a nice, tidy kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good way to do it. And Ed Sullivan, who bought one of these right after you talked about it. So be careful what you say, because he'll go buy it. He always does. He says, Erin says I have to. So he does.
Yeah.
But Milo, his dog, sheds a lot. And so it gets a lot of the fur, a lot of the hair up kind of in between vacuumings. You also reviewed, hold on, let me get there really quick. You also reviewed the ultimate Roborock S8. And you say, is it the ultimate robot vacuum? Are we to a point where you can pick a clear winner, or are they all still kind of in the same, they get the job done category?
The funny thing about a lot of these newer ones that I would say I've reviewed in the last 4 or 5 months or so is that they're all extremely close in effectiveness. And they will often just have one thing that, Model A does that this other brand does not. One of those things has been hot water washing of the mopping pads and or hot air drying of the mopping pads. So one of the problems that these mopping devices have had is that if they sit there with wet mopping pads, they kind of get mildewy and they start to stink, and the dirt is in there. So they develop these self-cleaning bases, which a lot of them do. But now they're using hot water to I shouldn't say hot because it's not like, scalding water, but it is warm water to wash the mopping pads. And then it suctions out all that dirty water into a tank. And then it uses warm air to thoroughly dry the pads. And it'll run a drying cycle you can adjust most of these, but between 2 and 4 hours is about how long it takes.
Wow.
But it is completely silent. I haven't found one yet that sort of sounds like a hairdryer running or anything like that. You wouldn't even know they're doing it. So I think it's really helpful, and it does.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Do they take much energy when they're, drying? Generally takes how's the energy consumption on these?
For me, I have to think that it's pretty low because the volume of it and the airflow just seems like it's such a low volume. I mean, if it was running on full blast, like a hairdryer or a clothes dryer, you'd know it. But I get the sense that you can sort of just barely, if you tuck your hand beside the vacuum, you can sort of just barely feel a puff of air. It's probably more about just keeping that air cycling through the cleaning tray than it is about, putting it in a dryer of sorts.
Or speed. Yeah. Well, in most cases, you're going to mop, and then you're not going to go right back to mopping. So you're going to mop. It's going to sit. Time is on your side. They're probably getting just enough air and just enough heat to dry it over time, and then you're keeping it from because I can only imagine a wet, closed in, dirty. Like after a while, you're like, hey, what is that? The garbage? Nope, it's the vacuum cleaner that stinks.
Anybody who's ever left a dirty mop in a bucket somewhere in their house knows that eventually it comes for you. So
yeah. Well, you've got a lot of reviews over there, techgadgetscanada.com. If you want to check that, I think you've reviewed enough of them now that you've probably reviewed most of them, if that makes sense, right? Is there something you haven't reviewed yet that you want to along those lines as far as upright or stick or robot or robot mop combo, whatever?
There's LG just came out with a new line of stick vacuums and automatic disposal unit devices, which is kind of an further extension of the Dyson we were talking about earlier. It's called the LG Cord Zero. I don't have it yet. It's coming, I was going to say this week, but tomorrow's Friday. It should be here tomorrow. But it's sort of meant to be a nicer, a little more chic design of a stick vac that you're supposed to be able to leave out on display in your home as you want to with your vacuums.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? Yeah. Yes. Look at my important vacuum cleaner.
It's very nice. So we'll see what it looks like. I'm looking forward to seeing it and trying it out and seeing what that experience is all about. But from what I understand, you can push the canister onto this automatic empty station, and you don't have to hold it over the garbage and drop the bottom out of it to empty it. It kind of sucks out all the debris for you, I think.
Okay.
Well, I gotta get it here first.
You got a review coming up. Lots of, if you're in that space where you're going to pick up one of those and you want to know a great place to go, check it out. I'm sure you have just a vacuum cleaner section over there on your site, right? An easy way to go in. And
I do actually. Yes.
What's the easiest? Just, is there a drop down for that?
Yeah, there's a menu bar at the top has it, and I think it is under vacuums. I don't have it open in front of me here, but
no worries. You can do it by brand as well if you want to check that out. Okay. Mm-hmm. 2 shows ago, you shamed me for allowing coffee to sit overnight. I have gotten more feedback.
Drinking day-old coffee.
I'm still doing it. Like you didn't stop.
Hey, you do you. You got to do you.
Don't shame me. The difference is I'm not perking coffee as much as I was before. So it's just I might do it Saturday for Ask the Podcast Coach Saturday morning. Sunday morning there'll be some left. I'll just pour it, throw it in the microwave, get it super hot, and pull it off. Right? Come on, that's what I do. That's my thing. I've gotten so much crap from people on that. So
come on, internet.
Okay, but yes, yeah. Leave your comments in YouTube chat or in the YouTube comments below. Do you drink day old coffee? Is it okay? You can let us know in the chat room right now. But I did. So I had made us a pot of perked coffee, and it must have sat a little bit longer than it should have. And Sarah opened it up it was molding. The grounds will start molding. So
as they do, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it won't happen in one day. That was probably a week or two. So maybe 3. So she's like, hey, I cleaned your coffee pot for you. And my face must have, like, this look of fear must have come over, like, you did what? And so I opened the thing up, and it was just sparkling clean.
Oh yeah.
Just silver with silver. Now, on a perk machine like that, there's stains, there's coffee stains. You're never going to get those things out. But she had gotten it as clean as possible. And I was a little sad. I'm like, all the flavor is gone. It's like a cast iron. To me, it's like a cast iron.
Yes.
Right.
Well
that's
seasoned.
how I see it. I know that freaks you out.
It does. It does.
I know that freaks you out. So let's do that to lead into this Ninja CM401 specialty coffee.
We might want to do that over.
If you want to do the opposite of what Jim does.
Yeah, there we go.
Right? There we go. You want to do the opposite of what you've been, of course, boy. you and I, listen, 99% of the time, I'm making Nespresso in the house. So putting the pot in, slapping it down, hitting the button, either making a latte or making regular coffee. They got a lot of great pours at Nespresso as well. So most of the time, just so you know, I'm not going to die of some kind of dysentery or whatever. Nespresso takes care of me. But well, when you boil it, it's fine. It all goes away. Talk a little bit about this coffee maker.
I've been trying out, I wanted to try out some of these really popular coffee makers on Amazon, because I've kind of had my drip coffee maker for, my gosh, probably like 15 years. And I started to wonder, what else is out there? Because I like to review appliances and I'm into coffee, as we know. So I thought, let me see what else is out there. And Ninja is making several different models of drip coffee makers. And they seem very popular. People seem to love them. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give one of these a try. So one of the first ones I tried is what's called their specialty coffee maker. And it's a drip coffee brewer, but it also makes specialty coffees. And for anyone who's listening and not watching, I am using air quotes, and we'll get to why. But the design of this machine is actually really cool. It's like no other machine I've ever seen. It's almost like O-shaped. It's sort of open in the middle. A lot of the coffee makers, the drip coffee makers you'll see are sort of enclosed, and you put the pot back in and it's in this enclosed space. This one's open. So it kind of is eye-catching right away. One of the things it'll do for drip coffee is it'll make a bunch of different sizes of drip coffee with just sort of the press of a button. So it'll fill a travel size mug. It'll fill more of a standard coffee mug. Or it'll do full pot, half pot. So that's kind of nice if you've got people in the house that like to have, just a cup of coffee later in the day. Jim Collison, you could make a fresh single cup using this machine and not have to save your coffee. So that's thing one.
I'm not saving it. Let's be really clear. It's just leftover coffee. It needs to be. We got some comments. We'll come back to it here in just a second. Keep going.
Okay, so that's thing one that it does. So brewed coffee, drip coffee in a variety of different sizes. So you can have the pot, you can have a one-off. It's very convenient and it's fairly adaptable to whatever you want. The other thing it'll do is make these specialty coffees. Now, this is where Ninja kind of lost me personally.
Oh, okay.
When it says specialty coffee, what it's going to do is it'll make a 4-ounce concentrated coffee instead of espresso. So it's not an espresso machine. It's not using high pressure. It's not using pods or K-cups or anything like that. It is literally telling you to put in a certain portion of coffee and then it's slowly running hot water, a small amount of hot water for that. So you get a 4-ounce extremely concentrated coffee. Now, I will say this. That coffee was not bad. because as you know, Jim, I like to buy my fancy beans from California anytime I'm down in the United States and bring them home here. So the coffee was good, but it's not espresso. So once you start adding some steamed milk to it and, getting your foam and your cappuccino and trying to make a latte, it's not the same.
It's a pretty weak latte is what you're saying.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say about this one is there is a milk frothing attachment on this machine, which again, I was like, man, this machine does so much, but it's not really good at frothing the milk. And it doesn't have any heating properties. So you've got to heat the milk either on the stove or in the microwave. Then you've got to froth it. And when I did it in my testing, it would froth the milk really fast. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. It frothed it, in like 10 or 15 seconds. And then it fell in on itself within about another 10 or 15 seconds. So all the foam that it creates, the bubbles just pop instantly and it's back to being milk again. So now you're back to flat milk and concentrated coffee. Yeah. So, and I mean, if that's what you like, if you kind of like that concentrated coffee, which I've never experienced anything like it. It's not even like an Americano. Right. It's just really strong coffee. So like I said, that coffee on its own was just fine. And I saved it, Jim. It's in the fridge and I'm using it in espresso martinis. But it's not I didn't love it for the specialty coffee.
Yeah. And it's a fine coffee maker. The specialty side of things. Maker. Yeah. So from a specialty standpoint, what do you like? Like have you tested a device that you really, really like to make lattes or to make in the milk is the really difficult part, I think, on this. What do you really like?
I really like espresso. And for a lot of years, I had a fancy, oh my gosh, Rencilio, I think was the name of the machine. So, a machine that you have to master. And I mastered it for many years. And then after a while, you kind of just get tired of having to master a double espresso every single morning. And especially here in Calgary, where we're at higher altitude and, air and water and pressure and rain and snow and things, everything affects espresso when you're doing it that way. So I started experimenting with the pod machines. And again, much like the lasers on vacuums, I was like, pod coffee is going to be garbage. And I was really surprised to find that I liked the Nespresso pods. So after a while, after testing probably 4 or 5 different Nespresso and Keurig machines, I ended up buying a Nespresso machine and selling my Rancilio. So that's what I do is I usually get up and I have a nice, really fast, really good double espresso from my espresso machine while the drip coffee drips.
Yeah, and I've actually liked Nespresso's got, you can buy the pods for espresso, and I've liked those. Those have been delicious and tasty and been good ways. I bought a separate milk frother to get that done. And I've got my pump of flavor or whatever, if I want to throw that in there. And that's worked out. I can make that latte in maybe 2 minutes. And it's way cheaper than, you would do at Starbucks. Even, the pods. So, yeah. The pods have gone up a little bit in Nespresso. They're $1.35 now, $1.45 or so for depending on what you get. But yeah, that's worked out. The Nespresso still, for me, still does that. And even the coffee, that has been a good device to be able to do both. Make a specialty coffee and now it doesn't. My Nespresso doesn't have a milk frother, but I have found the coffee makers that try to do milk frothing just don't do it very well, right? You almost want to dedicate it.
I would say that's true. There's a lot of the Nespresso based machines. I can't think of the name of one of the more recent ones that I've reviewed, but yeah, like the milk doesn't get as hot. It's hard to get it right if you're not using a true steam wand or if you don't have, the right tools. So there's one of the things I actually found that surprised me for frothing the milk anyway, it still doesn't heat it, is those little handheld machines, the little wands that you can get on Amazon for, gosh, on Prime Day, they were $5, but they're usually around $12. Does a really good job at frothing the milk.
Yeah.
So, talk about saving some money. That's one way of doing it if you don't mind heating the milk up yourself.
Well, and I've bought a $35 or $40. It heats it, and then it has a magnetic frother. You get two options. You get
oh yeah.
You get the one that's separated for the real foamy froth. And then if you're like, I don't like it as foamy. I just like it a little thicker than regular, just pouring milk in, right? So you get the flat pod that you put in there, and then you hit the button and it spins it magnetically. I'm not exactly sure how all that works, but it does get it frothed for you. It heats it up at the same time. It's in a stainless steel mug, so you can wash that thing out and use it 1,000 times. And those have been really good. It's great for the grandkids to make hot chocolate with. So pour the chocolate in, take the Nestle's or whatever, pour that in, put the milk on top, hit that button, put the lid on, and it'll just spin till that thing is nice and warm. Not too hot for the kids, right?
Right.
As a kid, I would always burn my lips or tongue. My mom would make hot chocolate.
Doubt.
It'd be super hot, right? And this comes out the perfect temperature. So I'm moving to those magnetic heated kind of stainless steel, super easy. Yeah, those.
I'm writing this down because I haven't tried one of these. I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
You should give it a try. $30 to $50, easy to clean, super easy to clean. Like, how some of those, like, you don't want milk, right? I mean,
sitting like the robot vacuum mopping.
Exactly. All right, couple things on back to me really quick. John Biggs says yuck for drinking coffee the next day. Tony, though, says he drank a soda that was in the car at the airport after 2 weeks.
I think Tony wins.
Not too bad. Erin, forgot to ask you last week, do you have your own cupping spoon? What does that mean?
I do not.
Okay.
A cupping spoon is like a tasting spoon that professional coffee sommeliers, I'm not sure what the term for them is, use to sip out of the coffee cup when they're sampling it, so that they get just the right amount of air and coffee and
draw it over your tongue like you do wine.
That's
some of those
right.
kinds of things. All right. Well, good to know that because if you did, you'd probably judge me even more. Then John says, do you gather old coffee from cups at work, pour them together, then heat them up? Well, sometimes. No. Tony says the housekeeper told my wife not to use the hotel room coffee makers. You never know the last time those have been cleaned. Now, oftentimes they're drip, so it's not like you're running coffee through there, but that water.
Yeah, somebody's not drinking right out of the machine.
No. Yeah. Let's see. Anything? Brian says he mainly uses a Keurig, and we have a Keurig plumbed in at work, so you can just put the pod in, push it and do it, and that's okay coffee. I have a Nespresso at work as well, and I keep pods both at home and at work, and just prefer it that way. It's a great way to do it. Bob says the main issue with a steam wand is if you have a crappy one that isn't hot enough or forceful enough, you're just adding hot water to your milk, right?
Absolutely.
I think, yeah. And then Brian says he loves using the ember to let the coffee get up and stay the proper temp. I've got a few ember comments, but what do you have? See, what is that one? What's the size on that one?
This is the larger stay-at-home mug. So the Ember Mug 2 in the larger size format. But
I think it's 12.
I think so, yeah. Plenty big enough for me, and it keeps it really hot. I love the Ember mug. I have the warming coaster, I guess, sitting right beside my desk, so I can have my coffee in here while I'm working in the morning, and it's fantastic. Another gift I reviewed and then went out and bought for myself because I was like, don't want to send it back, so getting my own.
Yeah, they're great. Kevin Schoonover gifted me one at Christmas time, and he sent me the 8-ounce, and I love the mug. I took it to work, plugged it in. Everybody comes by and asks about it. I actually
We did at Gallup, we did we call them town halls, when everybody gets together and then we all jump on Zoom and there's some people presenting. And I did a section, I did a gadget review section, and I reviewed the Ember mug in it, which was super cool. But what I found is 8 ounces isn't enough for me. Like, I drink it before it would even have a chance to get cold. So I really need the size that you have, the larger size. And to be honest with you, I would want one this size. It's grande size, right? Like a full.
Well, they do make a travel mug that I think is 14 or 16 ounces. I can't remember off the top of my head. I reviewed that a long time ago. That was my first Ember review, and kind of set the tone for me on the Ember mugs. So
and I don't need lids, because that's just not the way I drink them. But I want a lot there, so I'm not having to go back, get more coffee. So what I found myself doing is getting coffee in a big cup, pouring it into the Ember, drinking it, and then then pouring the rest.
Because it will heat it up too, right?
Yeah, it will.
Like, if you have cold coffee in the bigger mug and you pour it into the Ember mug will bring it up to temperature for you.
It will. Yeah, it's just I drink it before it gets a chance to do anything. I don't know what this milliliter stuff is, but Bob says 355 milliliters for that travel mug too. I gotta learn my ounce to milliliter conversion table. I gotta if I'm gonna do this. Yeah. So Kevin, I hesitate because he's a listener. I appreciate you sending me the mug. I find I drink it too fast. So I'm constantly just filling up the Ember mug on that. And so, but I love the concept, and I love the way it works. Hey, you said before we got started here, you said you've had some experience with Temu, and am I pronouncing that right? I don't know anything about that. Tell me about this Temu.
Yeah. So this is, I guess you could call it an Amazon competitor that's popped up. I believe it's a Chinese company. So it's Temu.com, Temu.com. And what it seems to me like they're trying to do is be an upstart Amazon. So they sent me an email. I sort of got on their mailing list somehow, and had also seen a bunch of influencers sort of talking about, I got it on Temu. So I thought, I'm going to see what this is all about. So I decided to go on the website, and I spent about $80, and because I wasn't sure it wasn't a scam.
Right.
So, I mean, the site is kind of this big, colorful, bold, loud, everything is 99% off. So you look at it and you go, okay, come on. So I didn't really believe that it was for real. So because so many people that were talking about it and asking about it, and a lot of my readers and viewers on YouTube were asking about it. So I thought I'll take one for the team here and place an order with Temu to see what you're getting. What it looks like to me they carry is a lot of knockoffs of stuff. So, and I mean, common goods that you would find at a dollar store or a discount retailer. So I went on and thought, well, let me see if I can find some, JBL speakers or I needed some lights for my studio. And I said, I'll buy them on Temu. I'll spend the $80. And if I don't get them back, my credit card company covers me for that kind of stuff. That's step one. I wasn't really worried about that. But I thought, if the stuff comes, I'll see what it's like. So I couldn't find JBL speakers, but I did find T&G. So T&G looks a lot like a JBL speaker that I've recently reviewed. So I ordered one of these, and it was, I want to say it was like $10 or $15 compared to, JBL's $90 or $100. I ordered one of those. I ordered another one that looks to me like it's another JBL clone, but this one has lights, and let me see. You should hear, I think there's still juice in this. I turned it on earlier just to see.
Bluetooth mode.
And if anybody recognizes that sound, that is actually the JBL boot up sound. which is kind of hilarious. And then this speaker also has lighting effects built into the back. So these are clearly, to me, trying to be JBL speakers at a much lower price. So I'm going to try them out, see how they sound. I just unwrapped all of this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to try them out. The other thing I got, Jim, which is kind of blowing my mind, is these interesting earbuds. You'll notice there's no name on the box. It's just a white box with some earbuds on it. But I'm just going to hold them up next to some other earbuds I have. So what you're looking at are Apple AirPods and what are obviously an Apple AirPods clone. So they are identical. So the AirPods clone version cost me about $9. And if anyone has been following me on social media, they'll know how angry I am at Apple because my AirPods Pro work maybe 20% of the time. So I'm really interested to see if the clone works better than the original. And at this stage, it might. But that's what I got. So I spent about $80. Oh, and I got some fun lights for my studio as well. So I'm going to have some fun. I kind of thought these would be a little more photographic lights. They're more like light bars that I guess you want to look at as opposed to bouncing light off stuff. So I don't know how useful these are actually going to be, but gosh, they sure look fun. They're rainbow colored and they're just plastic fun. So that's most of the haul I got off Temu, and the product arrived. You'll have to wait for the full review to see if the products are actually, if they last more than 2 to 6 weeks or whatever. Right. But that's the Temu story.
And then are they shipping directly from China? Is that kind of the way it's working, or are they coming through a distribution center here in the United States or Canada, or how's that working?
Said it was out of Calgary. So Temu Logistics out of Calgary. So that's where I am. So they appear to have distribution locally.
I'm sure it makes more sense to bring them to the host country or to the country where they're going to deliver them, and then spread them out from there. Hey, these aren't.
With that said, it did take a long time to ship. Like compared to Amazon, where you can get it same day, next day, 2 days. This took about, I'd have to go back and check, but probably about 2 to 3 weeks. So if you can wait for stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's tough to wait for stuff. I ordered something Thursday. It came Friday morning. You're like, oh, that's here already. Pretty soon it's going to be like ordering Chinese food. You're going to think it and it's going to appear, and you won't even have to tell them. They're going to start predicting what you need. And they're like, well, if you didn't need it, just send it back. And then you're like, well, I'll just keep it. It's here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it was only $10.
So I kind of wonder, okay, again, do not judge me for what I'm about to show you. Okay. But lately, my favorite shoes of all time, like for my whole life, have become Crocs. Okay. I don't know what took me so long to get to Crocs.
They're comfortable.
They are, I don't really wear them in public for the most part. They're like slippers for me at the house. Right. So out in the garden or outside walking around or just lounging around the house or whatever. Right. But I ordered a pair of these Crocs. They're $35, maybe you get them at Walmart for 25, whatever. They're $8 here. Like, and you'd think, how hard is it to make a plastic or whatever these things are made out of? So maybe
my sense of it though, Jim, is that they're actually coming out of the same factory. So you know what I mean? They're like white labeling it. The factory is pushing Crocs out one end of the back door and these out the other side under a different label. And they're honestly probably exactly the same thing.
Yeah. These look exactly like the ones I'm wearing right now because I have Crocs on right now. And it's like they look exactly, and yes, I wear socks with Crocs, but I know you're not supposed to do that, but I'm
I'm old.
Well,
I can do
have
anything.
you not seen the fur-lined Crocs, Jim? The
No,
fuzzy lining Crocs?
no, I
Oh,
have
Jim,
not.
I get a pair of these every couple of years for husband Roger. You can get Crocs with, I call them fur lining. Fur makes it sound a little more exotic than it actually is, but they're lined Crocs, almost like an Uggs kind of setup, right? Where it's nice and fuzzy and warm and cozy.
Yeah.
He loves them. He wears them outside and, in the backyard and stuff all the time. So you got to check out the fuzzy Crocs.
I will go to Temu and try that, because this would be one of those things. If to your point, if it's the same stuff, just coming out the other end of the factory, it'd be interesting for $9. And I don't need them tomorrow, type deal.
Yeah.
So, Bob thinks maybe third-party factories that run extras, like they're going on.
Had a little
Joe
overage
says,
off the assembly line that day.
Yeah, Joe says I like my Crocs, but if I wear them in an afternoon, it plays heck on my feet the next day. I think my feet run a little hot, so like in shoes, I don't leave shoes on very long, no matter where I'm going. You know how some people go over to other people's houses and they're like, oh, do I take my shoes off? That's the first thing to come off when I go in somebody's house. I'm like, let my feet breathe. Crocs do a nice job of that. And here on the site, you can get them in, at least 4 different colors: white, gray, dark gray, black, and white. So that's cool. We'll have to give that. Tony's saying Crocs are all the rage with the kids these days. So
true.
I'll have to give that. Have to give Temu a try. You, if we can, as we wrap things up here tonight, thinking about solar generators, because I have been the saga for me. I ordered, 2 months ago, a U Green. They're kind of new in the space. They're Power Roam 1200, and it had some issues. We'll kind of leave it at that. U Green was kind enough to send me a label and said, we'll refund your original purchase. They didn't replace it, which makes me think maybe there's something wrong going on there that they're going to need to fix in post-production or something along those lines. Great customer service, really worked with me. The refund came through today, but I bought the Bluetti AC 180 to replace it, which came last Friday. I think I talked about it at the end of the show with Gavin last week. It's been rock solid all week. I'm not gonna actually recommend anything till I've tried it for a month or 2 or 3. I just want to see that thing kind of work for a while. So, but you've been working with Bluetti on your site. What kind of things have they been? What are you doing with them, and how's that working out?
Yeah, they came on as a sponsor of the blog of techgadgetscanada.com. So they're doing some posts with us, which I'm really grateful for. That helps us keep the lights on. Anybody who has their own blog or YouTube channel or podcast knows. So we're grateful for that. So we've really just been educating people about what's out there from Bluetti, because they've got a lot of different power banks, or I shouldn't call them power banks, portable power stations and portable power solutions. And I checked them out when we were looking to bring them on, and ton of great reviews. So many people love their Bluetti devices. And these are essentially portable, almost like portable generators or portable power stations. You can plug in everything from your phones and your laptops and your cameras to, if you get a bigger power station, you can plug in, the blender, the air conditioner, the fan, what have you. And you can recharge them by plugging them into the wall. You can plug them into your car to recharge them, or you can use connect solar panels and recharge them that way. So yeah, we're really excited to learn more about them. We just reviewed the Bluetti EB3A on the blog. And one of the folks that writes for techgadgetscanada.com checked it out, and he had a really good experience with it. He really did his best to try and run it out and see if he could beat it, and he wasn't able to. So he quite liked it, and yeah. So we've got the 180 coming hopefully soon, I think. So we should have a review of that up in the next few weeks.
Good. It'll be the one as I talk about it. Your review will be the one that I point people to, because I think you do a really good job of being fair and open and honest about it, and the pros and the cons. So far so good. I think the one thing I wish it had was a Wi-Fi connectivity. It connects the app via Bluetooth, but it's just to the app, and I can't get it any. We talked about this with Gavin. Maybe we'll work on getting it through Unraid and Home Assistant, but otherwise, I use it as a UPS device. I don't know if I really need to be checking it remotely all the time, although my listeners will find some reasons why. They'll be like, oh, no, but this situation, you would want to be able to like whatever. They are, and Bob is right. He says, never have I seen someone looking forward to a power failure more than Jim Collison. And maybe that's a little true. It came in, I set it up, I plugged in the generator to the house, ran the cord, unplugged it from the grid, plugged it into the generator. It works great, charges back up. It'll take up to 500 watts of solar power if I wanted to bring that in. The Ugreen would not do grid and solar at the same time. Bluetti's got that kind of nailed. Just a good.
That is one of their features that I thought was really unique and interesting, that you can actually charge it faster by using two sources, which is magic.
Yeah, faster and maybe a little more efficient from that standpoint of being able to get, at least in some cases, getting half of it from solar. With your van life stuff, do you keep what do you keep in the van?
Yeah, we used to have two backup power sources. We sort of had a smaller lunchbox sized one that we would use for phones and things like that. And then we did have a much bigger one, a Renogy one for a long time, that we just found we weren't using because we've got plenty of solar in the van now. So we ended up selling that and moving on to a different option. But I'm looking forward to trying some of these Bluetti devices. And because we do spend time in California, all kinds of things happen in California and could happen in California. So especially if you're in a place where, a natural disaster could happen at any time, I think having a backup power solution that can, especially if you've got, if you're using a CPAP machine, just as one example, if you have concerns or you have medications that you have to keep refrigerated, being able to plug a small fridge into a portable power solution could really be a lifesaver. And I'm only exaggerating a little bit there, but so there's all kinds of good reasons to have a device like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think you are. CPAP machines and some of those kinds of things. Joe says he looked at power stations, but was concerned about the 20 to 30 millisecond cutover. Many of them are advertising 20 milliseconds or below. In some of the reviews I've been watching, they actually have measured the cutover, and it's more like 10. They can't get it 10 consistently. It's 10, 12, 15, 10, 12, 15. So they just say 20 to just make sure they're covering themselves on that. Right. Bluetti is one of those where I've seen it test as quick as 10. He says he bit the bullet and ordered another UPS. Joe, I was worried about that too. I'm running 5 PCs and 11 monitors off of the 180 in the testing I've done with it. Even the Ugreen was good at this 20 millisecond cutover without it disrupting. I never had anything go offline because it wasn't enough. So I think most devices with that 20 millisecond are enough. But whatever you choose to do, Joe, that's good as well. He does say, seems from reading, 20 to 30 is fast enough, but most devices, but not all. And that is true. Your mileage may vary. Thinking about that. You also wrote an article over there. I'll post this in the show notes as well as in the chat, talking about choosing the right system. And I'm assuming you partnered with them on this, or John partnered with them on writing this. I think that's one of the things that coming to solar generators and the new, the new power sources and the new batteries and all the technology they're putting into this. At first, it was a little, we did lead acid for a long time, and then we did just lithium, and now these lithium phosphate that can get up to 3,000, sometimes more cycles before they are at 80%, not done. They're just at 80% of their capabilities. Has really changed the space for solar generators. Like
they're actually really viable right now. I mean, as we think about them, they're handy and helpful, and you can get them around, and they're actually pretty good, don't you think?
Yeah, they've really come a long way, even just in the last, 6 or 8 years since I started taking a look at all this stuff when we, got our first camper van and moved into all that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you couldn't really plug in anything over, the size of a curling iron on a lot of these devices, but they've vastly improved them. And that was one of the reasons I was really interested in what Bluetti in particular had to offer. So, and when it comes to choosing, you really have to kind of know and commit to what you're going to use it for. You can't just get it and think, oh, sure, I'll buy based on budget. You have to know what the amperage or voltage or what the power draw is for the device or the most important devices that you're going to use it for. Yeah. And you've got to buy the right device for that. So it does take a bit of homework, which I think is intimidating for some people sometimes. Yeah. But if you get the right device, it's a game changer.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time watching videos, reviews, going through, going through. I gave Ugreen a chance because they were new. And at the time that they had the first offering and the price point that I wanted with the size that I wanted. And since then, Bluetti came out with one. EcoFlow is going to be coming out with one here shortly. One of the other things that they have done too with the solar generators is, of course, you can take 2 units now. I think both Bluetti and EcoFlow have a 240 converter, so you can put that together, and now you can run equipment that requires 240 power, like your dryer or like your oven, and you can run those things off of batteries, which is pretty amazing to me. Yeah, pretty amazing.
It is. That stuff just blows my mind still because we just didn't have these options beforehand. If you needed a really serious backup power solution, you were getting a giant gas generator, and that was kind of it for a long time. And, we've all heard the stories about how dangerous those can be. So I love the solar power station solution, and I think they're only getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good time. This is one of those areas where I think the market's matured to a space where the offerings are really, really good. As you hear the YouTubers talking about these, when they start saying, of course it has, that's a telltale sign, I think, that the market is maturing, when they are tired of saying, of course it has this, and of course it has that.
Basics,
of course. Yeah. On some of those. So it's a good opportunity. I like mine. It's been working, it's been working like a champ. Again, my test is every week on the weekends, I'll unplug it and try to discharge it down to about 5%, then plug it back in, just see what it does. And I want to do that for 4 or 5 or 6 weekends in a row, just to make sure it does what it's supposed to do. My goal is really just to have enough time to, and it's so funny. Now, if the power goes out, I'm like, I'll wait a few minutes, and then I'm like, oh, sweet.
It's still good.
like I can go set up the backup, right? Kind of thing. Yeah. And so it's been pretty good. Well, check that out. They got a lot of great stuff going on. And I was glad to see you partnering with Bluetti, and we've got one of those here as well. Check it out, techgadgetscanada.com. Before we let you go, Erin, what's coming up? You alluded to maybe you had something coming, but anything else you want to share on things that you're looking at here in the future from a review standpoint?
Let's see. I'm looking around because my office is littered with, there's a whole bunch of stuff that just came in the last week.
Review carnage.
I got some review carnage. I've got some new smart bulbs. I've never reviewed Casa, which I believe is a TP-Link brand.
Both are correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I just got their smart light bulbs in. Yeah. Those were actually a gift that someone gave me, which is like bang on. I'm like, thanks. It's smart lighting, which I love, and I haven't reviewed them, so that really works out. So I'll be reviewing that. And then the other thing that I am going to be reviewing is the microphone that some of you can see in the video version of the podcast. It's from a company called Tula. And it's this really cool retro looking microphone that is both small, compact, and portable, but also can be used on an arm in a studio like I'm doing now. And Jim, as you're aware, we had a microphone emergency before the podcast started today, and my trusty old Rode mic was not cutting it. So I had to do an emergency swap here and get the Tula in. And
how do you spell that?
Tula.
Tula.
Okay. So the kit came with a case. It's got a pop filter, which I probably should have put on before now, but it's still wrapped up in the plastic. I've barely unboxed this. And then it's got a cable for power and a little folding stand that comes with it. So it's super small. It's not even the size of a smartphone. So I took this with me the last time I traveled because I did have some voiceover work to do. And super handy. The other thing that it does is it's a portable digital recorder. So you can actually use this as a standalone audio recorder and then take it back to your computer, plug it in, download the audio. And I have to say, I was working with some video production folks on that trip, and we were, using this mic and talking about this mic. And they said, yeah, well, the quality can't be good. Like, it's too small. It's too cute. Let's listen to it. And they plugged it into the computer and played back some of the audio. And the guy who was like the expert was like, whoa, this is good.
Yeah,
it's good. And you said the same thing, Jim, when I plugged it in. You were like, oh, that's way better.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we're getting some audio. I mean, I would prefer now, to be fair, it's $260. It should be good for that price, right? That's you're in the mid to low premium space for microphones, right? Your SM7Bs, they're all going to be $400, $500, $600, right? As we get into the more expensive ones, RE320s or RE20s, this is this nice. It's a little bit more than a Blue 100 or a Samsung Q2U or an ATR Audio Technica ATR 2100. But at $260, and maybe you get it on sale at some point. That's $5,000 in Canada. But the at $260 US, that's a nice sweet spot, and it does sound good. I'd love it to be XLR, so I could run it through a audio device. I don't like running direct USB for my mics, but it's working for you. It's really good.
It's super convenient for me, and I the one I had before the Rode was one of those snowball ones.
Yeah,
so it was big and round, and I've never really had a good portable solution. So anytime I've traveled, I've had to do all my voiceovers in advance, and if you forgot to do something, then it was a huge pain. So I loved this one. I was looking around for something that was very portable yet still sounded good. And this one checked a lot of the boxes for me. I was just looking around to see if it does come with an adapter. XLR adapter does not appear to.
Probably not. But no.
Working for me and my setup, and maybe folks out there who
looks good.
are doing their own podcasting and voiceover
Listen,
stuff.
It sounds better than 99% of the people that I talk to on a regular basis. I get them and their microphone's 8,000 miles away, or it's a laptop and they spilled water on it or whatever. And you're like, come on, help me out. Help me help you on this. Although the pandemic made it a little bit better, but that's a pretty good mic. I'll leave the Amazon link in the show notes. Tula, Tula. I'll leave that at least the Amazon link. You can take a look at it. They have black and red as well. So if you want to get a different color than white,
retro style.
If you want to get a different color, and then they got this like teal. Hold on, let's look at this one.
Oh, the teal one is pretty sweet too.
Yeah, they got that little teal looking one there, and then black, white, red, teal. There you go.
The other thing you can do too, Jim, which might work for you, is you can plug in, there's an aux jack on it. So you can actually plug in a secondary mic into this so that you've got, you can have two people on the same.
Are you hearing me? Did you plug your headphones into the mic, and are you hearing me through that? And how do I sound to you?
I'm hearing, I've got earbuds in. Okay, I have my Pixel Buds Pro in tonight.
And so you're running Bluetooth for the audio back, which is another way to do it. It's another way to get it done. So super cool. Well, Very cool, Erin. Thanks for all that you do, and thanks for all the stuff that you post. Again, check it out. Tech Gadgets with an S, techgadgetscanada.com, and lots of great information. Thanks for being a great partner to us from a podcasting perspective, and always saying yes when I ask you to come on. I always appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, Jim. I love talking to you. I love sharing the tech, and I love your audience. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Appreciate it. We'll let you go. I've kept you long enough. I'll close up the show. No need to keep you around. But Erin, thanks for coming out. Be safe. Stay out of danger. We want to see you again in a couple months.
Good night, Jim.
Right. Take care. A couple reminders on the way out. Of course, big thanks to Erin on that. She's always so delightful to have on here, and I just appreciate her so much. Brian says, sounds good both or sound from both of you sound good from the side. So good. Glad we do. Yeah, it was a really good mic. Her Rode mic was doing some weird digital pixelization and it just was, I was like, we can't use that. She's like, oh, I've got this other one we can try. So thank goodness that she had that. If you want to join us in the Facebook, in the Discord groups, head over to theaverageguy.tv/Discord. Love to have you in there. A couple joined this week. We haven't had a couple join in a few weeks, and a couple joined just this week. So jump in, enjoy the conversation, and I'll continue to post about that Bluetti that I picked up there. That may, for some of you, that may be an option here in the future. You don't have to use it as a UPS, but just give you an option to take a battery with you somewhere. They're really pretty good. That whole industry is pretty good. That Ugreen would have probably worked in some cases. It just didn't work as a UPS backup, where the Bluetti is as well. EcoFlow would be the other one I'd go with if I was checking them out. Leave a message for me if you got a comment about it. I'd love to play it on the show. HomeGadgetGeeks.com. Look for the mic in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can leave a message for me there. Don't forget both web and media hosting powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And, of course, you know that's Christian. You can get plans that start as little as $10 out there, maplegrovepartners.com. I just asked him today, but Marv B is coming on next week, so I'll have Marv back. We'll have some great stuff to talk about next week. And then Christian is on the week after that, the 27th. Christian will be coming back, and we'll be doing a kind of a Cyber Frontiers episode with him as he catch up with him a little bit, see what's kind of going on. Randy Walker will join us on the 3rd of August. And then I got some more scheduling to do. I did get Paul Braren to say yes too. He'll be here September 7th. So we'll be doing, if you've got, I haven't said this in a while, but if there's somebody you want me to interview and you can make the introduction, or you can just kind of say, hey, think about I haven't done an interview in a while. I've really enjoyed having the community on here. But if you've got somebody, and Uncle Marv, we're looking forward to having you on. If you got somebody you want me to interview, send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Maybe we can track that down and get that done. It'd be fun to kind of in the mood again for doing some tech interviews, I doubt I'll ever interview a Jamie Siminoff again before he becomes a billionaire when he sells Ring to Amazon. But you never know. I like those startups. They're pretty great. Maybe I should follow up with some of the startups that we've had in the past, see how things are going there. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. And I'll do a little bit of a post show if you guys throw some things in chat. Maybe we'll do a little chat post show. If it falls flat, then we won't. But for those of you listening on the podcast, thanks for making it all the way to the end. If you're on YouTube, especially thank you for making all the way in. Do the things like subscribe, all that other stuff on YouTube. Leave some comments. That helps with the algorithm, whatever. Although I don't really care. I just do this for fun, and I do it for the folks that listen. Big audiences are hard to handle. I'd rather have just the folks that just want to be here. So if you're still listening all the way to this point, there's 5 or 6 of you live that are, and maybe a couple thousand of you who are listening to the recorded version of it. Thanks. Appreciate it. Always good to know, and I hear from you guys from time to time. Thanks for sending me emails, jim@theaverageguy.tv. I appreciate you guys and appreciate all the stuff that you do. If you're listening live, we'll do a post show with comments. So get your comments. Stop doing what you're doing. Get some comments ready. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. I must say that Heineken was pretty good. I don't. Some people don't like it, but I like Heineken. We had an Italian restaurant here in town that would had it on tap. It was even better. It wasn't bitter at all. Super sweet, very appley, tasted very delicious. Brian says in the chat, excellent info from Erin and looking forward to Marv next week. I'll be out of town, but definitely watch it later. So Brian, thanks for watching that. Yeah, I sent Marv a note. I said, hey, can you fill in a week? And he's like, oh, of course. And I said, what? He said, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, what do you want to talk about? So he sent me some things back, and I've said, yeah, it's a good start. We'll make a show out of it. Erin's so great. She's so easy because she said on Tuesday, she just sends me, hey, here's some things that from the site that you might want to do, and makes for an easy show. I know we talk about vacuum cleaners a lot, but she's really good at those, and coffee. She's pretty passionate about it. What are the questions you guys have from the chat room? Anything else that you want to talk about while you got me? You can influence me through chat. Anyone? Bueller. Tony's calling out John Biggs. John, I thought, oh, no. John sent me a note on Facebook. Let's see what it said. He said, Tony, which I don't believe. I think you and John are the same person. But he said, oh, he did say, he said, I'll be joining a little late tonight, but I will be there. John, are you out there? Have you been lurking? Did I miss you? Did you put something in chat a little bit earlier? I don't see you, John. So I'm tending to think that you and he are the same person. By the way, Tony, it looks like you had super good time on your vacation. So you do a nice job of documenting that pretty well. Says he was here briefly. Yeah, don't believe it. Tony, quite disappointed with the AirPods Pro. I'll be honest, like I have had a really hard time. I bought some of those cheap knockoff, back in the day. I too bought these. What's the brand name? Sound something. Whatever. They came in a case that looked like this. I'm not even sure they're charged at this point. And I used them for a while. I'm just not an earpods guy. I don't know what it is about that, but I don't find myself. I mean, I do for podcasting, but they're wired. It's kind of a different. I don't want headphones on. I'm not very good at the headphones. So, yeah, Tony was a lot of Instagram pics. Tony also says Pixel Buds are much better sound and fit. Well, it could depend on your ears too, and what you like with that. Joe says I'm pretty happy with the Pixel Buds. Of course, they're free, so there's that. Yeah, there is that. Brian, been happy with my Pros overall. I appreciate the integration with the other Apple products. Yeah, and I've been thinking about getting them, and then I just kind of go, I never wear them. Even in the walks in the morning, I don't want earbuds. Like, started walking again, and I don't know, kind of like nothing. It's weird. I know that's weird. On my walk, I kind of like having nothing in my ears. I don't know, just weird. Maybe it's because I want to hear the sounds. And one of the things, quick Firepit update. One of the things on the 4th of July, my neighbor got a log that was hollow in the middle, and he put it in his fire pit, and then he filled the log up, and it kind of burned through the log. And I was like, that's a great idea. Hold on. I was like, I gotta find some logs. So I went on to like that. So I went on to Facebook and looked for free wood, and I found really close. Somebody giving away some wood, and they had a couple logs like that. So I went and picked them up, and boy, they looked a lot smaller in the picture. So I went to go pick them up with the Legacy. They're not going to fit the trunk. So I was thinking they were like this big around. They were like this big around. And so when Sarah got home, I took the Outback over there and was able to get them in one at a time.
but it's kind of cool. So I've got 2 logs, hollow in the middle or semi-hollow. Then we'll drop those in the fire pit and create kind of a fire out of the center of those. Kind of looking forward to doing that. It was kind of cool. We'll put them on. I'll stack them on something so air can come up from underneath. But Tony says I ordered some foam tips to see if that helps. I wear bone inducting headphones mostly. And then Joe says I wear wired headphones while mowing. Bluetooth ones just can't seem to get loud enough. Yeah. I don't know. I've never gotten into it. I've never been able to consistently, even in the Walkman days, walking around, remember the Walkmans, big black headphones you put on. God, they sounded good, didn't they? They sounded good for what they were. It's a cassette tape. Sounded really good. Maybe it's because it was so close to your ears, right? Sony had figured that bit out, but no, I'm not a big headphones guy. Even when I travel, I don't know. Tony says I put the work headphones over my buds, and that helps. Yeah. It's kind of weird. I did after the show last night. I did get so I did take down one of my computers. So when I replaced the when I built the gaming rig back at the end of the year, the goal was for that to be kind of not just gaming, but also, put 128 gig of RAM in it. I bought as fast as I could. It's Wi-Fi 6E. I mean, it was one of those kinds of things I wanted it to last a long time. And I wanted to kind of put everything on it. And then I didn't do any of that. I just watched YouTube on it. So after the show last week, I moved channels, which, by the way, moving channels from one box to another now is dead simple. They have like a tool you can use, and they got some instructions. It's a couple clicks, and you copy this over and then do this thing, and it just worked. And so I moved channels from one box to another, went into the room, reset the IP, bam. It was working perfectly. Pulls across everything that was scheduled, everything. It's great. So John, good work on that, man. That was a dream. So I moved channels over, and then of course the goal was it also had Home Assistant on it in a VM, in a Hyper-V VM, and of course the whole reason I was doing that was to set up Unraid on that box. So I took it down, and the box has got 2 Western Digital 2 terabyte blacks in it, and it has 3 1 terabyte greens that are in it. So took it all down, and then Sunday afternoon made an Unraid USB stick, installed. You don't really install Unraid, it just runs from the USB stick, right? Got that all set up. 4.5 terabytes of storage. The first 2 terabyte is the parity. The other 2 terabyte plus the 3 1 terabytes are storage. Got Home Assistant not without problems. There were some weird things with the new version, and I had asked John help me with some of that setup, and Gavin as well. I sent Gavin a note for a few things. Got the permissions all set up right. Got Home Assistant running. And bought a Bluetooth dongle. This is one of those things. On Saturday, I bought a Bluetooth dongle. On Sunday, it was here. It was crazy. So Bluetooth 5, cheap, $20 maybe. I think it was $20. Super cheap. It did recognize my Govee. I have a bunch of Bluetooth Govee humidistats for the cigars. It recognized all 4 of them. 2 of them I had to take the battery out and put it back in to invoke the Bluetooth setup so that Home Assistant would see it, and got those Govee humidistats up and running again, or I shouldn't say again. Got them on the dashboard for Home Assistant, which typically that stuff never works that way for me, right? It's always, oh yeah, no, you need to have this too, or whatever. was able to connect it to the meter like Gavin had done. So I have meter integration now, where on the dashboard I can see what, if I've got a probe out there, I can see what the probe is doing. Brought back our printer ink, levels. I keep track of those. The batteries for all the Ring cams are on there, and weather. And I'm sure there's a few more things I can do. That's what I've done on it today. I set up the backups for what do I use? I want to say Synology, but that's maybe what we'll talk about next week with Uncle Marv. Geez, why am I having trouble remembering this? Acronis. There we go. So set up the Acronis backups to it, and eventually I'll be moving my storage off the Moro data box and onto the Unraid box, just because I don't think that Moro data box is going to run forever. I need to have a good backup. That needs to be running, syncing in parallel, so that if either one of them dies, I'm kind of not out. And I wouldn't be out because I know it's all in the cloud, but you know how that goes. So, it was, the Unraid setup was pretty easy, to be honest. There's a few changes. The CFS brings a few changes that from the old way, but not bad. Set up pretty fast. Old equipment, stuff I already had. I went out. I was having trouble with my USB keys reading the Unraid USB Key Builder, right? USB drive builder. It was Windows 11. That was the problem. I went to a Windows 10 box. It worked just fine. So Windows 11 had some issues with it for whatever reason. But I went to Walmart and picked up a ScanDisk 32 gig. What do you think, chat? Of the couple of you that are left, what do you think I paid for this? Let's just play a little. You can leave a comment on YouTube if you want, for those of you watching this after the fact. What do you think I paid for this? It's a USB 3, 32 gig, 130 megabits per second read speeds. What do you think? How much do you think I paid for it? I'll give you a second there in chat. What are your guesses? I have a gnat in here. What are your guesses? What do you think the price was? I bought it at Walmart. No, this I just bought. I just picked this up. I needed for Unraid you only need 4 gig, but I thought all my USB sticks were bad, and so I'm like, well, this is the smallest you can get now. It's 32 gig, right? So, Brian, this is this weekend. What do you think I paid? Joe says $5. Brian says 10. So Joe, you're too low. Brian, you're too high. It was $888. It's Walmart. $888 was what I paid. $960 with tax. It'll be taking it back. It was, as I was driving home, I was like, I was trying to set this up on a Windows 11 box. I wonder if that's the problem. Sure enough, it was. And so I didn't troubleshoot it. I just went to a Windows 10 box and ran them, and they set up just fine, and building that Unraid stick. But I think the 64 gig version, it was like $12.99 or $12.88, and then you can get 128. I think you get half a gig now. Would that be right? No, half a terabyte for $60, something like that. Super cheap. It's crazy. But here's the question: does anybody use those things anymore? Like, I was trying to think as I was buying these. Here's what's ironic. I found a 4 gig stick that says Windows Home Server on it. I'd gotten it at maybe the last year I was a Windows Home Server MVP. They gave us these, USB sticks that had documents and stuff on them, or it was just a gift, and it said Windows Home Server on it. So I have the Windows Home Server. It's a 2.0 version stick, 4 gig. You only need one for Unraid. But so I have a 2.0 USB 4 gig stick. This is Windows Home Server on it, running the Unraid. I thought that was ironic. That was me. I just thought that was ironic that I'd be running on it. So yeah. So by the time I got that formatted, that either that or I had an old Surface. I had a 4 gig Surface. It was a Surface branded USB stick that they had like this foam thing that looked like a Surface. I was going to use that if I couldn't get the Windows Home Server one to work. Apparently, Unraid now ties the instance of the trial to the GUID on the stick, and once you've tried it once, you can't just overwrite it. That it reads the GUID of the stick, which is unique. I imagine you could do some firmware and overwrite that, but why would you even care? So, yeah. So it was that I need to. It is, Brian. It is amazing how cheap storage is now. So it'll go back. I've got the receipt. It'll go back to Walmart sometime this weekend. I was going to take it back tonight, but I was like, who wants to go to Walmart at 5:00 on a Thursday? So I didn't take it back. So I got that up and running. I talked with Gavin a little bit about maybe putting one of those little radio receiver dongles that he has to get his water usage. I didn't pull the trigger on it. I got busy this week. The other thing I bought this week was I bought from TP-Link. I bought a new repeater. That's not really what we call them. It's a Wi-Fi extender and I hadn't realized, I guess I had bought a Wi-Fi extender to go up in the kitchen to cover the deck. And what I was hoping was the shed, but it was only 2.4. So single band. And I think I paid $20 for it. So it wasn't terribly expensive to begin with. So I could never push enough bandwidth from the house to get all the way to the shed and do a Zoom call. I call Ed from the shed on Sundays. So it never really worked. I just have to connect to my phone. I'd have to do a phone hotspot. And that was okay. But it bothered me. I couldn't get it done. So I picked up now for $20, maybe 30. I can't remember. It wasn't very much. I picked up a dual band. And so 5 and 2.4. And it's amazing. The 5 gigahertz range does so much better with bandwidth, and it does reach the shed, which is surprising. And then I used, although that being said, I used so I used the old one, which is 2.4, and I put that in the shed, and then I just tied the two together. So they're both on the same, and that's working dandy. I'm getting all the bandwidth I need out in the shed to be able to do a Zoom call and do it well. And it works well. It plugs in, so it's in a sense a wired connection in there. But the two are basically just, they're extenders. That's their job. They do that well. So extender to extender. So it's super cool. Both of them have I didn't do it in the kitchen, but they both have Ethernet jack out in case you wanted to run a device off of them. Remotely, and so that's how I'm running the laptop. Works out pretty well. So it was kind of cool that actually worked. I was pretty amazed. I had 2 successful tech projects over the weekend. Getting Unraid up and running, and it's built a new dashboard. And it's looking pretty good. Oh, the other thing I added to my Home Assistant dashboard was Subaru has integration with it, so I can use my username and password for Subaru, and I have a little spot on the dashboard that tells me the mileage and range and how much gas I have and the tire pressure and what my average fuel consumption is right now on my Home Assistant dashboard. It's pretty cool. It's just an integration with the Subaru app online, but it's super cool. So yeah, I had success getting that set up as well as the range extender. Now on the deck, I have a 5 gigahertz and 2.4. it'll help. The TV was struggling a little bit. I imagine now it won't struggle at all. It's a little bit better. I could have certainly spent more on that, but why for that kind of usage? Doesn't get used that often. Tony says storage is cheap unless it's an Apple product, which is super true. And then Brian says, so true. The built-in stuff is so expensive. Yeah, for sure. But sometimes it works better too. Sometimes not. So good stuff. Yeah. So that was, I had a lot of tech going on last week. We'll have Marv next week. I may talk a little bit about that, Marv, when you're back. So it's on the recorded show. None of this stuff, just the live folks and a few Patreon subscribers listen to this part, but we may talk about that some more. So if you're interested in that, as well as the Bluetti got set up successfully and it worked. I mean, it was just one of those things where, and this doesn't, you guys know this doesn't happen very often, that it, like all those things, worked without too much trouble. The Unraid setup, yeah, there were some things I needed to work out, but I just gave it some time and eventually I figured it out. So pretty great. Uncle Marv says, gotcha. So we may spend a little time there, or maybe if you've got some questions, you can ask me about it. All right, friends. Again, thanks to Erin Lawrence for coming on. If that's all you guys got from the chat room. Joe, I forgot to put this up. Joe says he picked up a couple of the 16 terabyte Western Digital Red Pros that were on sale for $220. That's a good deal. I found a 12 terabyte drive on eBay from one of those hard drive, like Go hard drives or whatever. Kevin Schoonover likes to buy them from there. I've actually had some really good luck. I bought a bunch of 4 terabyte drives from them. And I had a 1.5 terabyte drive green go bad on me in the Chia setup. So I lost some data there, which is not the end of the world. And so I was like, oh, I have an open slot now. I could put another hard drive in there. So I like to buy them off eBay. Sometimes they're new. They come with a 3-year warranty. I bought a bunch of drives from Go hard drives before. And they worked just great. Haven't had any trouble with them. I think I did have one go bad and they replaced it. So yeah, I was looking at a 12 terabyte, $80 maybe, or maybe it's just at it right at 100 or something like that. So storage is getting pretty cheap. I remember when the 8 terabytes were, 179 pretty consistently. Now those are like 79. So pretty easy to get those spinners. It was one of those situations though, where I was like, do I really need another 10 terabytes? I mean, I have 70, let's just say 80. I have 80 terabytes now for Chia, just for that. And then now this Unraid brings 4.5, 5 in. So 85. Do I need more than that? No, probably not. Just kind of, yeah. So it stopped me. It did stop me from the other thing I picked up on, I've never done this before. But one is when I installed Unraid on the box that I put it in. I have one of those little LAN boxes, the square ones from Cooler Master that I like. The Unraid will tell you the temperature of the drives in real time. And I got the little, I didn't get this. I got this. They were too hot. So I bought a little $6 USB fan, just plug it in, put it right in front of those drives. And I got them down to 35 degrees Celsius for $6. And it's like, yeah, that was easy enough. It sits on the outside, super quiet. It's great. It's awesome. And there isn't a really good, that part on that case, there isn't a great way to put a fan in the case to cool that area down. So it works out pretty well. The other thing, one second. The other thing that I bought, I've never bought this on Amazon before. Scott's Lawn Guard lawn treatment, lawn stuff, you go to Ace Hardware or Menards or Walmart or whatever. but it was $30 on Prime, and that's for that kind of for a 5,000 square foot lawn. That's a pretty good price right now. That used to be solid $24, pretty consistent for those, and now it's 35, 40 depending where you buy it. Walmart, I think it carries it for 25, whatever. So, but I thought, well, let's give it a roll. So it's coming on Monday. I've never bought lawn care products on Amazon before, but it's coming in. Tony says he's looking at a Mac Mini. I love my Mini. I'm not going to lie. It has been what I've had it 2 years now, and coming up on 2 years, maybe. Man, you would have to pry that thing out of my hands to. I mean, don't get me wrong. So I've got the Mac Mini here. Waiting on an update, by the way, and then Windows on this side, and I Surface here with the weather running on it. Wish I could share this screen and show you guys all the fire icons that are in Canada, but you'd have to. Boy, it just works so well, and to be honest with you, the Windows PCs work pretty well too. But you'd have a hard time taking it away from me. The question I'd had is, should I trade it in on the newest Mac Mini? And I feel like maybe the next iteration is where I'll trade it in. So handy to have. I bought this Mini, and I think I bought the. Does it have half a gig? And half a gig of storage, half a terabyte. Sorry, half a terabyte of storage. Plenty for me on the Mac and for what I use it for. I move the files off if in other storage containers if I don't need them, and so it works out pretty well. So I don't keep the goal, and I got a 2 terabyte Time Machine drive on it as well. So that's really the backup. I have a Cronus on it, and I back up. So the Mac gets backed up to the Time Machine, and it also gets backed up with the Cronus to the cloud. So all those things, I'm covered. God, I love my Mac Mini. I'm not fanatical about it, but I do love it. It's a great machine. It has not let me down. Tony says his wife's Surface laptop 3 screen is going away with my daughter's flickering screen and all. Yeah, I haven't had any trouble. I have a Surface Pro 3, and I haven't had any trouble with the screen. In fact, that's the only thing I haven't had trouble with. Battery's gone. Of course, you could kind of replace it on the Surface, but this old probably wouldn't survive taking it apart. So I'm not gonna. It stays. I bought the dock for it, so it stays plugged in all the time. So I guess I'm fortunate, Tony. The thing I like about it is I keep the home automation or the home assistant dashboard up full time on it. So it's really just a home automation screen at this point. And it runs my radar. So it's just fine. Low power. That works out pretty well for me, but sorry if it's flickering on you. That's a bummer. Even on Windows, I have OS on a main drive. Yeah, all the files on external for sure. Good backup. Good backup to have. Smart way. I started. I put a Cronus on the new box, and as I was converting the old studio PC, getting all that stuff off of it, getting ready for Unraid, it had a Cronus on it. So I put it on the new box, and I was like, do I really need to back this up? Because it might just be easier to reinstall. Like now that I've got channels on it, maybe I want to save my channels configuration, although that's on another drive. So that would all come back if the OS drive failed. So I don't know. Yeah, sometimes it's just easier to rebuild it than it is to restore it from backup. Guess it depends on your situation. So good stuff. Well, it was a successful tech weekend. I probably jinxed it now, and nothing will work this weekend, but it's okay. Don't have a lot of projects lined up. Got to get the lawn mowed. Got to get the
I got something. Oh, that fan came in today. And then I got that other stuff coming in on Monday. Although I did notice Amazon might have been padding their delivery times because that fan wasn't supposed to be here till Friday and it got here today. I have a feeling maybe that's the lawn stuff will show up tomorrow or Sunday. They might have been padding delivery times. Just with Prime Day. You never know. You never know. All right, friends. Thanks for hanging around. Appreciate you guys, and thanks for keeping me company there in chat. It's been a while since I've done a little bit of a solo, but I guess I had a lot more to catch you guys up on than I thought. Jump out in Discord, and we'll meet you out there. I'll see you next week. Uncle Marv will be here. Looking forward to spending some time with him, and we will see you next week. Okay, you guys be safe this weekend. All fingers and toes intact, and we'll see you next week.